Welcome to The Explainer. We've all seen what a strong kid looks like, climbing on a playground, throwing a ball, just moving with confidence. But how do you actually measure that kind of real-world strength, especially in a way that can help a child who might be struggling? Well, today, we're going to break down the science behind a tool that was designed to do exactly that.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why measuring functional strength is a real challenge. Then we'll meet the tool designed to solve it, the FSM. After that, we'll see how scientists put it through its paces, check out the results, and finally, get into why all of this is a potential game changer.
All right, let's dive right in with the big fundamental question. How do you put a number on a child's strength in a way that actually means something for their day-to-day life? Turns out, it's a lot trickier than you might think. We see it on the playground all the time, right? But for a physical therapist or a coach, just seeing it isn't quite enough. I mean, to really help a kid improve, you need a reliable, scientific way to measure that strength. You need to be able to track their progress and, most importantly, pinpoint exactly where they might need a little extra help. This is what researchers call functional strength. And it's not about lifting a super heavy weight just one time. Nope. It's all about the practical strength that kids need to just navigate their world. To jump, to climb, to play every single day. And this slide really gets to the heart of the matter. It's easy enough to measure what's called isometric strength. Like, how hard can you push against a wall that isn't moving? That gives you a number for raw force. But here's the thing, that number doesn't really tell you how well a kid can use that force to do something. Functional strength is all about application. It's strength in motion. So to solve this very problem, researchers developed a brand new tool. It's called the Functional Strength Measurement, or FSM for short, and it was made specifically for kids between the ages of 4 and 10. Now, what's so brilliant about the FSM is that its 8 activities were designed to feel way less like a test and a lot more like playtime. I mean, look at this list. It's all stuff kids naturally do. Throwing, jumping, climbing stairs. This makes the whole thing feel relevant and, honestly, a lot more fun. And the FSM is smart because it doesn't just measure one thing. It looks at 2 totally distinct parts of strength. First, there's explosive power. That's the single burst of energy you need for a big jump or a hard throw. And then second, there's muscle endurance. That's the ability to keep going, to do something over and over. You put those 2 together and you get a much, much richer picture of a child's real-world fitness. Okay, but you can't just cook up a new test in a lab and expect people to use it. For the FSM to be taken seriously, it had to prove it was scientifically legit. And that meant putting it through a seriously tough validation process. The easiest way to think about this is with a bathroom scale, right? Reliability means if you step on the scale and then step on it again a minute later, you get the same weight. It's consistent. And validity? Well, that means the scale is actually measuring your weight and not, say, your height. For a test, both of these things are absolutely crucial. So here's the 3-step gauntlet they put it through. First, reliability. They tested kids twice to see if the score stayed the same. Simple enough. Next, to prove it was actually measuring strength, they compared its scores to another well-established strength test. But this last part, this is really clever. They also compared it to a coordination test. And here, the goal was to find a low connection, to prove the FSM was measuring strength specifically and not just general athletic ability. The research team tested 474 kids all across the Netherlands. So what did they find? Well, the FSM didn't just pass the test. It kind of aced it. Okay, first up, reliability. On a scale where a perfect score is 1.0, the FSM came in at 0.91 for the younger kids, and an even better 0.94 for the older group. Now, in the world of science, that's considered excellent. It means the test gives you stable, trustworthy results again and again. So it's super consistent. We've got that. But now for the million-dollar question, is it really truly measuring functional strength? This is where those validity checks become so important. And the results were just picture perfect. Exactly what you'd hope to see. The FSM scores were strongly connected to the other strength test. That's a big check mark. But they had a very weak connection to the test measuring motor coordination.
And that was the final piece of the puzzle. It proved the FSM was successfully isolating and measuring functional strength.
But they dug even deeper and found something else really fascinating. The FSM isn't just giving you one single strength score. It's actually measuring two different things. One is that pure explosive power we talked about, and the other is a mix of muscle endurance and agility. This is so key because it lets a therapist give a much more detailed diagnosis.
Okay, the science is rock solid, but let's bring this back down to earth. What does this actually mean for a coach, a therapist, or even a parent? Why does having a tool like this really, truly matter? The big takeaway here is that this tool provides a detailed diagnostic map. A therapist can now see not just that a child has a strength issue, but precisely where it is. Is it upper body or lower body? And what kind of issue is it? Power or endurance? This lets them go way beyond guesswork and design training programs that are super targeted and way more effective. And you don't have to take my word for it. The researchers themselves put it perfectly. The whole point is to design appropriate intervention programs. The FSM gives them the roadmap. It helps them find the exact problem so they can create the exact solution and then see if it's actually working.
When you step back and think about it, the FSM is a perfect example of science making the invisible visible. It takes something we feel like we understand, a kid's strength, and turns it into powerful data that can actually change a child's life. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other crucial parts of a kid's world are we seeing every day but not truly measuring yet?